The question that's puzzled and concerned people for thousands of years is how can God, who's supposed to be all-powerful and all-loving, allow so much suffering to go on in the world? You see, it's not just wars, like horrendous stuff that goes on like that. It's also natural disasters like earthquakes, famines, and other things as well that happen at more of a personal level. People suffering with illness and disease and all kinds of other trauma. And these type of questions have been a real concern for Christians as well as others. I think, how can we communicate the truth of God and all that He stands for and that we believe He's like in the midst of so many things in the world that are just not how we believe that God would want them, or certainly how we would want them. There are many wonderful things in the world, we all know, but sometimes as we look around at the scale of some of the things that happen and how widespread they are, it really does feel like a bit of a mess. I once did some studies on this subject. In fact, I even did a 10,000 word essay on it. I read loads of theologians and philosophers over the years who tried to make sense of this stuff. And at the end of it, I'd have to say I came to one profound conclusion. So when people ask me, how do I explain this stuff in light of the things we believe about God, I've only got one answer. And the honest answer is, bottom line, I don't know. Now, some people say there's so much suffering in the world because of free will. So God has given us free will. That means He allows us to make decisions, and so many things that happen in the world are actually a result of decisions that we as humanity have made. The tricky thing is, though, and the painful truth is that so many of the people that suffer are not those who've actually made the big decisions, but those who are kind of suffering at the hands of decisions of others, and that doesn't feel very just. Some people say that God allows the suffering in the world because it builds character. It allows and it gives opportunity for us to show compassion, to tackle injustice and things. And in doing so, it builds our character. But again, it seems a bit harsh for the people who are on the receiving end of that suffering. And there are others who say that suffering is just a natural product of reality as it is. God has designed the best possible world, best possible conditions within it for us to live in, and they're just natural consequences to the kind of way He's made up the world physically as well as morally and emotionally as well. But that still leaves you wondering, isn't there a better way that God could have created things, could have designed things to avoid quite the amount of suffering that goes on, especially for those who are kind of innocent? All I can say is that since I became a Christian at the age of 21, I've been working in community work, I've been working in human rights work, I've been working in international charities, working in some of the poorest areas of the world, trying to tackle poverty and injustice at local levels and international levels. And in all of this I've seen absolutely amazing people, and I've seen amazing stories of transformation where people have got stuck in and tried to make a difference. As Christians, we believe that God calls us to join with Him in doing what we can to put things to rights, to care for those who are suffering, to tackle injustice, to try to work with people to make a difference in ordinary people's lives. And that's at a personal level, as well as at families, with groups, with communities, and even national and international levels, to make the world more like the kind of place that God has designed it to be. We believe that ultimately one day God is going to put everything to rights. In fact, He even says He's going to create new heavens and a new earth, and that's when we're really going to experience God and the world in the way that He had intended. So after 30 years of being a Christian, with all its ups and downs, challenges, questions, successes and failures, I can honestly say I don't understand, and yet somehow I believe.